I'm Nidhi Kumar and you're watching Science Time, a show that brings to you the best that science offers, from exciting developments in science and technology to futuristic solutions. And the top stories today are: the quantum boomerang effect has been seen for the first time, successful launch of PSLV C52 with EOS04 satellite, Earth-like planet spotted orbiting the sun's closest star. And let's take you to story number 1. Well, the quantum boomerang effect has been seen for the first time in a breakthrough research. Physicists have confirmed a theoretically predicted phenomenon called the quantum boomerang effect. Particles can boomerang if they are in a material that has lots of disorder. Instead of a pristine material made up of orderly arranged atoms, the material must have many defects, such as missing or misaligned atoms or other types of atoms sprinkled throughout. In 1958, physicist Philip Anderson realized that electrons in a material become localized with enough disorder. They get stuck in place, unable to travel very far from where they've started. That localization is also necessary for the boomerang effect. To picture the boomerang in action, physicist David Weld of the University of California, Santa Barbara imagines shrinking himself down and slipping inside a disordered material. Weld and colleagues demonstrated this effect using the ultra-cold lithium atoms, such as stand-ins for the electrons. Instead of looking for atoms returning to their original position, the team studied the analogous situation for momentum because that was relatively straightforward to create in the lab. The atoms were initially stationary, but after being given kicks from lasers to give them moments, the atoms returned on average to their original standstill series, making the momentum boomerang. The team also determined what was needed to break the boomerang. To work, the boomerang effect requires time reversal symmetry, meaning that particles should behave the same when time runs forward as they would on rewind. By changing the timing of the first kick from the lasers so that the kicking pattern was off-killer, the researchers broke time reversal symmetry and the boomerang effect disappeared as predicted. The discovery is reported in the journal Physical Review X. And let's take you to story number 2. Well, the successful launch of PSLV C52 with the EOS04 satellite, India's polar satellite launch vehicle. PSLV C52 injected Earth observation satellite EOS04 into an intended sun-synchronous polar orbit of 529 km altitude at 6:17 hours IST on February 14, 2022 from Satish Dhawan Space Center, Shar, Sriharikota. PSLV lifted off at 5:59 hours IST from the first launch pad at Shar. This was the 80th launch vehicle from mission from SDSC Shar, Sriharikota, 54th flight of PSLV and the 23rd flight of PSLV in XL configuration, 6 strap-on motors. The satellite EOS04 is realized at UR Rao Satellite Center, Bengaluru. It is a radar imaging satellite designed to provide high-quality images under all weather conditions for applications such as agriculture, forestry, plantations, soil moisture and hydrology, and flood mapping. Weighing about 1,710 kgs, it generates 2,280 watts power and has a mission life of 10 years. The vehicle also placed 2 small satellites, a student satellite, InspireSat-1, from the Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology IIST in association with the Laboratory of Atmospheric and Space Physics at the University of Colorado. Boulder, and a technology demonstrator satellite INS-2TD from ISRO, which is a precursor to India-Bhutan joint satellite. INS-2B co-passenger satellites were successfully separated from the PSLV in a predetermined sequence. ISRO chairman Shri S. Somnath congratulated Team ISRO for the precision with which the mission was accomplished. And let's take you to story number 3. Earth-like planet spotted orbiting sun's closest stars. Astronomers have found evidence of a third planet circling Proxima Centauri, a red dwarf star that lies a mere 4.2 light years from our solar system. The candidate world, known as Proxima d, the newly spotted world, is probably smaller than Earth and could have oceans of liquid water. Astronomer Jobo Faria and his collaborators detected Proxima Centauri d by measuring tiny shifts in the spectrum of light from the star as the planet's gravity pulled at it during orbit. The team used a state-of-the-art instrument called the Echelle spectrograph for rocky exoplanets and stable spectroscopic observations at the Very Large Telescope, a system of 4 8.2-meter telescopes at the European Southern Observatory in Cerro Paranay, Chile. Espresso finds planets via the radial velocity technique, noticing the slight wobbles in a star's motion induced by the gravitational tug of an orbiting world. In the case of Proxima d, these tugs were very slight, indeed corresponding to a planet with a minimum mass of 1/4 that of the Earth. That would make Proxima d the lightest planet ever detected using the radial velocity method. The researchers wrote in the new study, which was published in the journal Astronomy and Astrophysics. And with this, we come to an end of this edition of Science Time. We'll be back with more exciting stories from the world of science next week. Until then, keep watching India Science. Namaskar.